Hey everyone, welcome to another series on tips and tricks using the Squirrel platform. My name is Rob Scott, based in Sydney. Today I'm going to show you how to build a basic game of Tic Tac Toe, or otherwise known as noughts and crosses. Now, why have I chosen a game? Most of you who buy Squirrel would probably be buying it for other forms of data visualization. So I've chosen a game for two reasons. One, I want to show you the power and diversity of Squirrel, but two, if you're trying to enhance your skills in the Squirrel platform, having something where you are familiar with the logic and the resulting outcomes is easier to apply in terms of building that knowledge. Okay, so let's have a look at what I've got. I've got a nice neon looking tic-tac-toe framework, and I can either play another human or I could play the computer. So if in playing a human, two people just randomly select the blocks or strategically select their blocks until there's a winner. And when there's somebody that wins, a nice line appears on the pathway to show you who has won. Okay, and then you could try again, and I've got a little pop-up statistics box showing you who's winning, how many draws, etc. Okay, what happens when we play the computer? Something different. We select a box, and the first thing you would see is that there was a little delay that took place whilst the computer thought. I'll come back to why that's important and how we did that. And so we would just carry on going. The computer thinks again and applies its knowledge. Select another one, computer thinks, and you'll see that it blocked the potential row that could have won. And so we'd carry on until there's either a winner or there's a draw, as in this case. Okay, so let's have a look behind the scenes in terms of how I did this. Firstly, let's just make sure we understand the various components that we've got here. A lot of this is just graphics that is popping up at the right time. So each block of the tic-tac-toe framework has an X graphic and an O graphic, and there are some lines which show you the winning line. Now, I don't have a line necessarily for each possibility. All that I've done is that I've identified a horizontal and vertical line, and in these purple lines, blocks over here, that's the X and Y position of the block. And when there's a winning line, it just simply shifts that data to the relevant spot, so the horizontal or vertical line knows what position it should be in. Okay, so we have an X and an O in there. We have this pop-up images which I should just talk about. So there's this delay image, which is a little GIF file that looks like a computer with its eyes moving from left to right, and that pops up during the computer selected game, but I'll come back to that. Okay, so let's have a look at how it works conceptually. We have some choice buttons, and these are buttons that you can't really see, but each block has one, and when it gets clicked, it identifies whether it's the X or the Y, X or the O player. How does it do that? If you have a look at some of my basic rules on the left hand side here, I have what I call is a player sequence. It's a simple Excel formula that really says, is the number of items or buttons that have been selected even or odd, and based on that it switches this number from a 1 or a 2. And when I click on the button, you can see here is that it lifts the data from B5, so that would either be a 1 or a 2, and it shifts it into the relative spot where I'm holding that set of information. So for example, in block A, I'm just putting it into EZ. I have a whole bunch of other rules here which are really helpful along the way in terms of the logic. I'm not going to go through all of those, but I'll just click on them in case you want to stop the videos to see the formulas. Here's my determination whether something's odd or even. Check the number of entries, that's quite important. So if I have 9 and there's no winner, I know that it's a draw, for example. I can check if there's a draw. Some reset buttons, and determining who's winning and how many X and O winners. So that's the basics of the game. And when you're playing a human, it's really simple. There's no logic that you need to do beyond that, except pop up the draw or the win graphics and the try again button. Okay, but what happens when we select play in the computer? It's a little bit different. And what I've done is I've essentially just allowed it to randomly select an answer. So if we have a look over here and we play it again, as soon as I click something, it automatically brings up another option. How have I determined that? Well, I've simply got a little determination of a random answer. And so here's all my 9 blocks that I've got, and I've got the associated place where I store the result should I choose that one. Now what's really important is that random selection in Excel is not necessarily that easy, and you've got to be really careful in terms of the formulas that you are choosing. So how I've done this is, first of all, I've determined which blocks are available. In other words, they don't already have one of the buttons clicked and there's no X or O sitting there. I do that by really doing a couple of things. Once I do what I call a dynamic concatenation, and what that really is only to concatenate this list of numbers that are greater than 0. And the reason I do that is because if you used a VLOOKUP, for example, and even if you had a 0 there, it could still identify a particular number out of error and you would get a false reading. So you literally concatenate all the numbers that are greater than 9, meaning that if, let's have a look here, if I, for example, selected a few as the computer, you will see that some of them have turned into 0, and you can then see the available ones are left in that concatenation. That length is really important because it also determines the random nature of my selection. And then once I've concatenated them, I actually strip them out again to give me the various options. And that's because if you look at my formula to determine that, first of all, I have a random select between 2 numbers, so between 1 and R16, so that the maximum that it can randomly select is between 1 and 5 answers. And then the choose function that I've used in Excel allows me to identify all these options here, but because I've limited it to that number, it can only select either one of the first 5, and the ones that are blank it doesn't select. So that's how I choose the random number. And when it's done, in other words, it simply chooses a number, identifies the appropriate place that it needs to store. It then triggers one of these actions here. So let's say, for example, it was this one. I would then be able to then move that I3, or that number would trigger to move it to the respective place. And that's done by a function. So each computer play has its own function and essentially moves the computer play number 2, and it would move it to the appropriate place that's blank and that has been randomly selected. Okay, so it's a little bit complex, but I'll make sure that I've clicked on all the components where there's formulas in case you want to stop and have a look to see exactly what it is. Now, the other thing that you saw is that if I was doing a computer play and I gave it a little bit more of a brain, essentially it allows me to also determine where the next logical move is going to be. So you saw I had 2 X's there, and it went and blocked by putting a 0 there. How did I do that? In a very similar fashion, I've really identified the block strategies. So these are all the various lines that could potentially win, and I've identified simply by saying if there's 2 X's in a row and there's a blank, then I'm going to identify it here. So it's going to come up as a number, and I've done exactly the same thing as before. I've done a random or dynamic concatenation of the options that come up, and then I strip them out, and I then randomly select one of those 3. And if there is 3, because it could be up to 3, and if this answer is true, then back to this formula here in terms of the random selection, I override that random selection by saying if Q43 is greater than 0, then choose 43, which means it would take one of these values and it would simply put it into the appropriate space. Of course, if there are more than one option, it is completely random, because it does mean that the individual who is X is going to naturally win. Okay, so that's about all that I'm going to show you today. It's a very powerful platform, and as you can see, there's lots of things that are important to do. The only other thing I want to talk to you about is the delay feature. This is when you saw the computer playing, this little GIF graphic popped up, and it made it look like the computer was thinking. Now, that's actually a psychological behavioral thing that we put into games, and essentially by doing that, it creates an illusion of the computer working and thinking about its choice, and it simulates almost a human trait in that respect, builds a little bit of suspense and excitement in the game, and it's a game in theory. How did we do that? Well, Squirrel has just released a new version 1.5, and they've added in a new data move feature called timer. Essentially creates a delay, and in this case what I've done is my Excel Q15, which is the random select result, is delayed, and during that delay I have this little image that pops up literally for 2 seconds, and it assumes, it looks like the computer's thinking. Once the delay is finished, it switches off, and it then places the random or the blocking symbol in the appropriate place. So it's a great little feature to have, and there's many reasons why you may actually want to delay, not just for the way that I've explained it, but it's a great new feature that's just been added. So good luck everybody in developing your game, or at least helping to understand the product in a more diverse way. And as always, if you'd like to know some more specifics, please reach out to me, direct message me, and I'd really be happy to engage in a discussion with you. Thank you and good luck.